Hello my people them, it is your boy Toyin and I'm back again with another video, and in today's video I am doing a little bit of an update video on the development of DanceBuddy. So my last update video on DanceBuddy was a little while ago, and in that video I kind of talked about how I was making a fairly big sizable change to the way I'm developing DanceBuddy. So I decided to introduce databases because I realized some of the features that I needed and I thought were key to the working of the app required a database, or would be made much easier by having a database. So yeah, it's been a little while since then. I've been grinding away at DanceBuddy, and there's been a lot of changes since then. So I just wanted to run through those changes today and talk a little bit about them and show them on screen, or show what I can anyway. Before getting into things, if you like this type of content, please consider subscribing to the channel, like the video, comment down below, and let us get right into this. So I have got you up here on screen. This is DanceBuddy, the app. Pretty much still looks the same, I think, from the last video, but I want to run through some of the changes that I've made. So essentially what I'm going to do is jump into my GitHub for DanceBuddy, and I'm just going to run through the commits. I'm kind of going to run through them line by line, and it will make it easier to kind of remember all of the things that I've done and some of the changes I made, and I can talk a little bit about some of those changes. So let me find the commit where I decided to essentially, there you go, 2nd of July, right? I've done the first commit. This is almost 28 days ago, so almost 3 weeks ago, more than 3 weeks ago. I decided to introduce databases, right? Instead of just using Firebase storage, decided to use Firestore as a database and kind of create all of that. So this commit here, I just added the database. I did a big refactor of all of my code, essentially to use Firestore to drive the logic, and then just have Firebase storage as the blob storage, essentially. So all of the videos that you might upload to DanceBuddy now go into a common Firebase blob storage folder for your user, and then you have Firestore, which is actually the source of truth and drives all the logic, etc. So that is what I'm doing there. So here I started doing the refactor, added Firestore, made the deletion work, file upload, removed some of the old stuff with Firebase storage, and now then we have the folder creation. So let me jump into the app. Right, folder creation is triggered same as it was before. You click on the upload button, you can create a new folder, and you now have this folder creation ability, right? And this is similar to what it was before, whereas now the folder is created in Firestore, the database, Firestore database essentially, rather than Firebase storage. So not much changes in that aspect. The first big feature that I added was this commit here. So the ability to rename folders. So I can demo that now. So now what has changed with the app is that when you go into a folder, we now have this extra little button, 3 dots here at the top, and there's a lot of functionalities packed into this little button. So you can open this and you have this rename functionality. So clicking on that will bring up a new dialog where you can rename this current folder. It's called folder 30. Let me rename it to folder 31, and you can then rename it. It loads up the rename. We do that and we get a success banner, successfully renamed. You can see that the folder has been renamed to folder 31. Happy days. Going back, this is now folder 31. So that's one of the big features I added, and that is actually one of the big reasons I decided to use a database, so that I'm able to quickly and easily rename things, because everything is stored inside my database. I don't need to rename the actual folders or videos themselves. I'm renaming just the row in the database. So that's one big feature, the renaming. That took me quite a while to do, to be honest. You can see one of my first commits on the 16th of July, and then more commits on the 18th. I've been grinding away at that. So yeah, another thing that I kind of briefly wanted to touch on, you can see there's a lot of commits here. Even when working on a side project or kind of a side business, a SaaS, you should commit often, right? Small changes, small commits, and commit often as you can. Commit as often as you can. And the reason for that is just because I can't tell you the amount of times where by fixing one thing, by adding one new feature, I've actually broken something else. So if you don't commit, if you wait a long time to do commits and you have this kind of huge big bang commit, it's not very easy to spot when you introduced an issue. But if you commit often, make small changes, you'll be able to more easily identify, okay, this is actually when I broke something. This commit is when I messed this up, or I added this feature that then broke this, etc. So commit as often as you can. I think there's no problem with committing more often. It's better to do it more often than it is to do it less often, right? So yeah, try and avoid those kind of big bang commits. All right, what we're talking about next, this is all changes for the rename functionality. Then I had a little bit of a bug with like a black screen. I can't really demo that, but yeah, when my screen was loading and I did that, it showed a black screen on, yeah, essentially just a black screen before it then loaded the actual data. So I managed to resolve that issue. Again, you can see the amount of bugs and things that I introduced by fixing other things, etc. We then have, yeah, I did some refactoring, right? So there's this refactor stuff here. So let me show you just the code itself. So what I did is a bit of a refactor just to make things cleaner. And I can show that here in my home screen, in my, actually not the home screen, that's not the right place. Let's see, where can I find that? We have the folder creation, we then have a dialog. So in core, we have dialogues. So for example, that rename functionality, we have a rename dialog. We also have this move up dialog, which I'll talk about a little bit later when I demo that kind of functionality. But yeah, I just did a bit of a refactor to make things cleaner, essentially. I also refactored within the code. So for example, my home screen, you can see now there is a whole bunch of, actually the better one to show is my upload menu. What you can see now is that we have this pop scope, and then right, you have a class for the video title input where that is contained in my widgets. So I created whole new widgets for all of these small little components. If I just show you the upload menu, there's a widget for this input title here. There's a widget for this pick gallery component. There's a widget for the buttons, right? Just to make things smaller, make the classes smaller. It makes it a lot easier for me to actually work with certain classes and certain features, and also find issues when they arise. So going back to my commits, right? We added a loading state, updated the folder creation, the renaming. I can just demo that very quickly as well. I can rename a video, so this is already renamed. So we have this video, let us rename it, and let's call that new name 2. And we can rename, and lovely, there you can see new name 2, you get a success banner. Going back to my commits, you already saw kind of bit of a preview, but after doing the rename functionality, the next functionality that I added, the next feature is the download. So on videos, only on videos, right? If I go back to the folder and click on these 3 dots, you only have the rename function. If I go back on a video, if you click on the 3 dots, you have rename and you can download. So this download functionality does what it says on the tin. It downloads the video to your mobile device. I have that little icon and video downloaded successfully, right? And then let me actually show you the files in the iPhone simulator. Let's see if I can find this gallery. And if I just go over and into photos, and you can see here, this video has just been downloaded. If you let me, this video has just been downloaded. Don't allow. Right, so yeah, this video has just been downloaded onto this actual iPhone simulator. Yeah, so that's a big functionality. Something I was really looking forward to doing, so that, yeah, you don't have to keep videos on your actual phone anymore. If it's taking up storage, you can upload it to DanceBuddy And then if you get a new phone or you freed up some storage at a later date, you can just download that video again to have it on your actual phone, right? So you can look at the videos offline without having an internet connection. So I thought that was a big feature. It took me a long time to actually get that working. One of the reasons was actually getting those permissions working. So there's a whole thing with getting permissions working, especially on Android devices, but I eventually managed it. I might write a little bit of a blog post on how to get those permissions working, but yeah, I got that working and I'm quite happy with how that feature has turned out. So I've got the download functionality working nicely now. I've refactored some stuff, a couple more bug fixes. And then the last kind of feature that I've done in the last few days is this move level up kind of functionality. So let me show you what I mean with that. Currently, you're at the root of your directory structure, right? So the point of DanceBuddy is to keep things organized, and it's similar to how the files or folders in your actual laptop are organized, right? So you're at the root. If you go into a folder, you can then look at a video, and this video sits inside of folder 31, for example, right? Now, if you wanted to reorganize things, one of the features that you already have is that I can take this video here and drop it into folder 31, for example. So I can move my files, I can move that into a folder. Now, equally, I want to be able to move a file out of a folder. So I can do that by just move up one level. So clicking on this, this will move file, what the name of the file is, up one level. And what that does, it's moving it out of folder 31 into the level up. In this case, the level up is just the root. So it will then move that file into the root. Gets reloaded, you successfully moved. And if I now go back, we are at the root again, right? So whereas previously I had dropped this file into folder 31, it's now been moved back up to the root. And that works essentially anywhere. So if, for example, I were to drop a whole folder into folder 31, we now have folder 31 and folder 20 inside of it. If I click in there, we can move this up one level, a whole folder and all of its contents up one level. Let's move it. And after a little bit of time, we reload folder 20. And if we go back one, we're back at the root, and folder 20 is not within folder 31 anymore. So that is another functionality that I've added. Again, quite happy with this one. Took a lot of time to figure out the logic exactly, because there's a few nuanced edge cases that can occur with this kind of functionality. But as I said, I managed to fix those and managed to eventually get that working. So that's been great. And yeah, those are my kind of commit history. A couple more fixes that I did. One thing that I got working for my project is I created a Android emulator so that I can run my application not just on iOS but also on Android. Previously I was testing on Android using my actual physical device that I'm currently using to record, but that was getting a little bit inconvenient because I always have to connect it and put DanceBuddy on the phone, etc, etc. So now I've got my Android emulator working. I can test my Flutter app also on Android devices. So cross testing, right? Run it on iPhone, run it on Android, and see how both of them work. A few of these commits here is dealing with an issue I had on Android about the background and the icon and the splash icon, etc. The splash screen. Managed to resolve those because I ran it on Android. It was much easier, and yeah, I've got that kind of going now. So yeah, that is essentially it for this update. Let me just have a quick look. Yeah, that's essentially it for this update. Those are the kind of things that have changed. As I mentioned, I've moved away from just using Firebase storage and now using a actual Firestore database to drive a lot of my logic. You can rename folders now, you can rename videos, you can move them out of a certain location, you can move them in, which you could do before, and you can also download a video onto your physical device now as well. So a lot of the main kind of bulk features that I want in my application are now done. So I just have a few more kind of features that I'm working on. And before I round up the video, I just wanted to show you this little Kanban board that I have for my project as well, right? So let me just do that. Right, so my DanceBuddy Kanban board. This is all of the things that I need to still do for the application that I want to get in there, that I'm currently working on. So you can see in progress is customizing my success snack bar copy. I want to update that, make sure it's kind of correct and it reads well. But yeah, I keep everything that I need to do on this Kanban board. The reason I want to show this is that, again, because this project I'm working on, DanceBuddy, has gotten quite big in terms of the features and the code and all of the different things that I want to do, it is imperative that I keep myself organized, right? I always come across new little things that are broken, new little features I want to add, things people mention that I'm like, oh, that would be good to add to the application, but it's very easy for scope creep to creep in. So I'm using this Kanban board. As soon as I think of anything or I see something that is potentially broken or is broken, I write it down and give it a priority. And that way I can keep myself focused, working on one thing at a time, because that is the main issue and the main thing that I need to keep myself accountable and making sure I actually finish this application. And another thing is that having tickets like this really helps in my commit history, right? I know when I finish customizing my success messages, I'm just going to commit, and I'm going to pick up the next ticket in my order here, and I'm going to commit those changes, and it keeps my commit history clean. It makes me commit often, and that way I have a nice clean history of the changes I make to the application. But yeah, if you've stuck with me, thank you for listening to me ramble on for such a long time. But hopefully this update is kind of a big bang update of the changes I've made over the last kind of 3 to 4 weeks. So yeah, I'm getting very close to the MVP stage. I mentioned in the last video, but I have created a waitlist page for DanceBuddy. So if you're interested in getting notified when the MVP actually launches and being one of my early testers, then please do consider signing up to the waitlist. I'll link it down below. And yeah, thank you for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bow.